The president of Uganda has signed the anti-gay legislation that would make it a crime for gay people to do anything that is considered aggravated homosexuality. So if they get caught the first time, they could face 14 years in prison. If they get caught again, they could serve life in prison as a result of this new law. Now, this is very problematic, obviously, because it creates this anti-gay environment in Uganda. But you're seeing this type of legislation proposed in other countries in Africa, including Nigeria. Nigeria also has a very strict law against the gay community, 14 years in prison if you're caught doing any gay acts. Now, what's fascinating about this is the US government has basically threatened Uganda because we give them hundreds of millions of dollars in foreign aid every year. And as a result, since we don't like this law, we could pull money away from Uganda. But for some reason, that's not something that the president is really that worried about. In fact, Western criticism toward Uganda is only emboldening him and the people of the country. So just to give you an example, the president wanted to sign the bill with the full witness of the international media to demonstrate Uganda's independence in the face of Western pressure and provocation.
Okay, that's the government spokesperson saying that. I think that what happened here was, first of all, when it passed through Congress, their Congress, he had a chance to review the bill, and he said, I want to take longer to review it, and I want to get all the different points of view on this. And I think what he was doing was weighing the internal politics and the international politics. And I think what happened in that time is we put a lot of pressure on him, but apparently the political pressure internally must have been greater.
Right.
So they must, and look, you got to understand, 38 out of 54 countries in Africa make it illegal to be gay, right? So there's got to be a world of pressure there, like, oh, wait, are you with the gays? Or are you against the gays? Or why? Why are you with the gays? And so he obviously could not withstand that pressure. Don't get me wrong, I'm not excusing it. Well, he's a bad guy because of that, right?
Absolutely. Look, I think that there is a little bit of defiance in terms of what Westerners think of Uganda. They don't like the idea of Western culture influencing their own. At least that's what they say, which I find very curious because, as we mentioned earlier, evangelicals are going to their country and influencing the legislation that gets proposed there. This legislation was originally proposed in 2009, right after there was an evangelical conference in Uganda. One of the politicians that attended that conference drafted the legislation immediately after. So there is a direct link right there. So Western culture has already influenced you. But another part of this is maybe he's realizing that the US is bluffing, because the reality is the US needs Uganda when it comes to Somalia, for instance. And as a result, they're like, all right, so you're going to tell us you're going to cut foreign aid. We're not going to help you out with relations to other countries.
Right. So this has become a bit of a mess. And look, people always get touchy about their cultures. But you got to understand that a lot of cultures have a lot of great parts to it, and there's a lot we can learn from it. In fact, here on the show, we talk endlessly about how we can learn from the education system in Finland, from the healthcare in different countries like Japan, etc., right? But there are also bad parts of other cultures, including our own, right? So, for example, in Central Asia, there's some cultures that still kidnap women, rape them as a means of marrying them. Well, that's an unfortunate part of that culture. And then, of course, there's female mutilation, genital mutilation, which is also in Africa and some parts of the Middle East. I can go on and on. So, yes, your culture says you should hate gay people. That's an unfortunate part of your culture. You don't have to hang on to all of your culture. In fact, the culture here in the U.S. was to have slaves. That was a bad part of our culture. And now it took a long, messy war to get beyond that, but we did, and that was a great thing. So it's not like the West is coming and saying, okay, now you will all be gay, right? No, we're just trying to help you. I know people aren't going to perceive it that way, to get to a better point altogether. And what is the West, by the way? What's America? Right? We're Americans. I'm Turkish. She's Armenian by heritage. JR is African American. Jesus is Mexican American. It's not like we're the West and the white folks are telling you do this. Like, maybe we're trying to help a brother out and you don't realize it, and that doing this isn't helping your cause.
Yeah.
And of course, the last time that this was discussed, it had terrible consequences. So
just a few statements from them, because it kind of shows you like how deep that defiance really is. Western opposition to such anti-homosexuality measures is frequently criticized as akin to imperialism. And from the president himself, he says Africans never seek to impose our views on others, if only they could let us alone.
Look, when the U.S. comes in and tries to take your oil and deposes your democratically elected leader, as they did in Iran as an example, then you're right, that's imperialist. Okay, and that's what you got to be looking out for. When the West comes and says maybe you should give all your citizens equal rights, it's not really imperialism, that's just human rights.
Yeah. Now, another unfortunate angle to this story is there is a tabloid in Uganda that has published the names of 200 people that are either gay or suspected of being gay. The publication is the Red Pepper Tabloid. And the last time that this happened was in 2011 by a different tabloid that no longer exists. They published a bunch of names, including the addresses of people that they suspected of being gay, and gay activists as well, by the way. And as a result of that, David Cato, who was a very outspoken pro-gay activist, was attacked and killed. So this is a very, very dangerous atmosphere, dangerous environment, and the fact that evangelicals from our country played a role in it. And I'm not saying that it was 100% the evangelicals. I think that the anti-gay mentality existed there without the evangelicals. But they went over there, they fueled it, they proposed this type of legislation, and then this is the aftermath, and it's a scary, scary situation.
The real cultural problem is not one of the West versus Uganda. It's the one of fundamentalism versus secularism. Secularism says all the citizens should have the same rights, should all be equal, and you should base your laws on logic and reason. Fundamentalism says, no, let's use a text of that people came up with either 1,400 years ago or 2,000 years ago or nearly 3,000 years ago, and let's treat it as it was literal fact. But only the parts that allows us to hate on other people. The other parts that are inconvenient, that would show that we're just as guilty, let's ignore those, right? That's the real issue, which is fundamentalism religion. It's already gotten people killed in Uganda, and it might do worse yet.